Yeah.
We're awake now.
Live from your CEO's non-reusable grocery bag. It's yet another Manic Monday edition of Business Bands, joined by analyst Holt Matt Moscardi. Yeah! Matt Moscardi. Wow. The Matt Moscardi. Whoa.
Said no one ever anywhere.
In today's expired milk again, called October 16th, 2023, Monday morning headlines and things our analyst Hole agrees with.
Yeah.
And disagrees with?
Yeah. But we can just do one if you want.
Oh, I'm ready for all of it.
Good.
Our show today
ready to go? Yeah.
is being sponsored by Free Flow Analytics, the only ESG data platform
That's
to
right.
measure real board influence.
All right, let's do this thing. Oh, I do have to say,
Oh, no. You can't say it during the transition music.
in Friday's show, we were
Uh-oh.
asking about what to call a male CEO who's brought in to be a body shield.
Go ahead.
I was calling him a sidecar.
Yeah, go ahead.
I did get a suggestion that you call him the Greg because of in Succession they rolled out Greg to lay everybody off, and he read really badly from like a statement, but they rolled Greg out, so they said call him the Greg.
All right.
I like that. I think that's good. We'll call a male body shield CEO the Greg.
This coming from a guy who I'm pretty sure has not seen the show Succession, right? Am I right about that?
I've seen the first season. That's
really that, and you gave up after that? You weren't
you know
interested?
What? Here's the thing.
It's enough. We do it every day.
Yeah, it's like asking a doctor to watch medical dramas. It's like you do it all the time. It's exhausting.
Except I kept feeling about the show's creator and writer, someone finally gets me. Someone understands what I care about. All right. Here we go. You ready?
Yeah, what do you got?
I got some random headlines.
That's correct.
The first one's quite boring, but let's go with it. Rite Aid just filed for bankruptcy. I didn't even know Rite Aid still existed.
Yeah, how about, does anyone go there?
Here's what I also didn't know. In March, the U.S. Justice Department sued Rite Aid, accusing the company of missing red flags when pharmacists filled opioid prescriptions. That's a big one.
Yeah, it is big. That's a big deal.
That's pretty much the one thing they kind of should be doing, right?
I love that it's the contributing factor to bankruptcy. That I like.
They should be selling Skittles and shampoo and checking those red flags when dispensing opioid prescriptions.
There's really not a lot of other stuff
That's
to do.
it, because they don't sell cigarettes anymore, I don't think.
I mean, I'm sure they do. Like
maybe that's CVS.
Maybe
that's CVS.
Yeah, I don't know. You know what I noticed about this, though?
No.
That the chair of the board, Bruce Bodaken.
Okay, keep going.
He presided. He joined the board in 2013.
Yeah.
The
Still there?
opioid problem was from 2014 to 2019.
Uh-oh.
Like, it was not that long ago. He is still the chair of the board. Like, where are investors at this point? The guy keeps getting reelected? Seriously?
You know, there was something else that irritated me about this board. First of all, they also announced a new CEO, Jeffrey Stein. He's also going to be the chief restructuring officer. He's clearly coming in because he has some experience with companies declaring bankruptcy. Fine, whatever. Who cares?
Okay,
he replaces the interim CEO, who will forever be, probably branded by some who don't do their due diligence as one of the causes of the failures of Rite Aid. That's a woman,
of course,
named Elizabeth Busy Burr.
Oh,
one of the best nicknames we've ever had in the CEO world, Busy Burr. Yeah, they don't usually list nicknames, but they put it right here in the filing.
They really don't.
So she's been the interim CEO since January. And they also appointed two new board directors, Carrie Tefner and Paul Keglevic. And the reason why I bring it up is that there's a long list of boards that these two directors have been on. A lot of them are basically failure companies. So I think these are also like failure experts. Although, yeah, go ahead.
Let me say this. On the board, now leaving the board, is Joe Anderson Jr., who is a decorated military a vet. He has a long and amazing career of stuff. That includes he sat on Rite Aid's board during the opioid scandal and left last year as they're declaring bankruptcy. And he went to join Lordstown Motors, which just declared bankruptcy this year. He joined them in 2022. He's double bankrupted. Like maybe he's a specialist now because he's just seen a lot of it.
I very politely put my mute on because I've been clearing my throat a lot, and then I forgot to take my mute off. How about that?
Oh, really? What is this, a Zoom call
this
in
is amateur
2021?
I don't know where I was, but let me just say this. The two board members that they have appointed to help clean up the mess have sat on a slew of other boards, including failures like GameStop and WeWork that are still failures. So I don't know why we think these are experts.
WeWork.
Yeah, but here's my bigger point, which irritates me in this world of the board directors, is that we've talked about this before, Matt, because I know every time you bring this up, you always scratch your head to the point of like a little bit of blood because you're so confused.
Yeah.
Why are these
that or the lice? Yeah.
Why are these companies allowed to appoint people to the board before the shareholder vote? They throw people on the boards and then they put the directors up for vote the next meeting. But as we know, everybody rubber stamps these directors through. Despite the fact that they're claiming that ISS and BlackRock are ruining the world, these directors always pass. So why do we allow them to just sneak directors onto the board before an initial vote? I will never understand it.
I don't understand how it works. Like in every other election, you nominate somebody, then there's a vote,
they hold the position.
Then they have the job.
Absolutely.
Right? This is the only elected job that I've ever seen where the board nominates them and they join the board. They actually go through the contract. They appoint them.
Mm-hmm.
They give them a contract. They give them shares, and then shareholders vote. And shareholders, what are they likely to do? Are they likely to be like, no, wait, this person stinks at that point? Right? It never happens. Well, I wonder if that's part of the game.
The other problem is that they really wanted to make this situation better is that they would have a slate of directors that were competing against each other. Why not tell the shareholders what their strengths are, where they've come from, their experiences, and let the shareholders decide which of these directors they think works best? But you're right. It's just they appoint and then they sit back and they laugh because they know that nobody votes against directors. Because as we've learned, Matt, from people who are reluctant to buy our data, people are worried about hurting these people's feelings.
Yeah,
right?
The big baby factor.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want, if we vote
against
against them, they might get upset with us.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, you know what I'd like to see? I would actually really like to see like slate of director debates.
Ooh.
Like, can you imagine like if at the annual general meeting, none of them have actually been elected, but everyone who's up for election has to give a speech and debate each other for a half an hour. And then you actually pick one that you don't think is an asshole that might actually do a good job. Wouldn't that be something?
Ostensibly, many of these corporations are more important than our actual democracy. So there's in no way is that a crazy idea, Matt. In no way.
I agree. I think it's reasonable.
Speaking of which, let's move on to we have a category here called CEOs rule, but in this sense, more and more CEOs actually do rule, Matt. We had two big elections. Swiss populists set to sweep polls with war on woke madness. That's what it's called. War on woke madness and migration. This is led by the former CEO and majority shareholder of EMS Chemie, which is a plastics and chemical company. His name is Christopher Blocher. He's an 82-year-old white angry dude in Switzerland representing a very conservative approach to rule over there in Switzerland.
They don't have anybody younger than 82 who can run. Like, I already have a problem with Biden in this country.
But Matt,
3,000.
Who else would say things like woke madness? That's the role of an old white dude, unless you're Vivek Ramaswamy, I guess. But that's the territory of an old white guy. And also,
that's true.
Unfortunately for all you people who used to be fans of New Zealand elects conservative Christopher Luxon as its premier after 6 years of Liberal rule. He was the former CEO of Air New Zealand and Unilever Canada. And if you read his bio, Matt, there's a long list of things that you will feel rather frightened by.
Well, isn't Unilever pretty woke? What
Maybe not Unilever Canada.
Off?
Yeah.
That didn't rub off, I guess.
Yeah.
He must have been in the fracking division of Unilever.
Let's just say that this guy is not carrying the woke mantle. So that's what's going on there in elections. Also, a little pop quiz for you, Matt. Speaking of CEOs who rule, here's a headline. Experts overwhelmingly blame one person for climate change confusion, quote, one of the greatest climate villains. Here's two quotes to see if you can guess who they're talking about.
Okay.
He has wielded his global media empire as a cudgel to sow confusion and doubt about the science and the solutions. He will go down in history as one of the greatest climate villains. Another person weighs in. It's hard to think of another person who has single-handedly done more to muddy the public's understanding of climate change. This is out of reporting from The Guardian.
I mean, you're talking about
guess?
media empires. There's only one media empire that would fit this, right? It has to be Fox News. It has to be Rupert Murdoch.
Ding, 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 ding.
Woo!
So another CEO, again, so your suggestion that we should be able to hear director debates, shareholders should have a vote on who gets to run these companies, because maybe we want to have a counterbalance to Rupert Murdoch. Of course, that company was run by a family control, so it wouldn't have mattered. But still, you know where I'm going with this, don't you?
I'm going to agree with you in theory. Yeah. We'll just do that. Yeah.
Speaking of family control, how about this headline? Bill Ford, Executive Chair Bill Ford, calls for an end to auto strike, saying that America loses if union wins higher wages. I mean, I can't make this stuff up.
How does America... Wait.
Yeah. This is the great-grandson
How does that calculus work?
This is the great-grandson of founder Henry Ford. He called on auto workers to come together to end a month-long strike that he says could cost the company, which is really his family, the ability to invest in the future.
And wrong also. Yeah.
And this reporting says in a rare speech, he says, quote, America loses if this happens. First of all, why is the great grandson of founder Henry Ford the executive chair at Ford Motor Company, who, despite his family holdings, Matt, he still makes he made $17 million last year. $17 million. Why is it a rare speech? Why don't we hear more from this chucklehead? Why is it rare that we hear from him? Why is he only now getting involved publicly in this strike? Why a month later?
Because he's been busy counting the $17 million.
Busy hiding
you
from
realize
picketers.
How many nickels that is? That's a lot of nickels. I'd also like to say that the fact that it's hurting America. Ford bought back $3.5 billion in shares between 2012 and 2022. That's money you didn't save for innovating and or paying your employees. $3.5 billion is not a small sum of money. Not to mention the fact that the primary beneficiaries of buying back those shares is the Ford family. So when you say America, do you mean my ability to buy another marble bathroom installation? What do you mean by America?
I will say this. I think his definition, according to the data that I unearthed today, I think his definition of America is white men. That's what America I think he's talking about.
Really?
When you look at the data. But let me give you a few tidbits. First of all, part of his pay, Matt, shareholders gave him $1.7 million so he could fly his company's jet, and for security. Over $1 million for security. Who the hell knows who Bill Ford is?
Well,
they get $1
we
million.
do now.
Yeah, okay, but could you pick him out in the lineup?
Oh, could I? I mean, no.
$1 million security. Other tidbit.
$1 million.
He's actually the company's most hated director. Did you know that? Of all the directors, 14% of shareholders voted against him. The most hated director at Ford.
Can we go back to security. When does it cost more than a personal use of an aircraft? Like that
I'm
seems
completely
like
lost. Yeah.
that seems anathema to like that. It's almost twice as much. He spent almost twice as much on security.
I just want to know what's going on at Ford Motor Company, where the executive chair gets $1.1 million in security and the CEO gets $0 in security. Like, what's really going on over there?
Although that said, he is the most hated director per your second point. So
true. More board tidbits over there at Ford. Do you know that the Ford board, I think there's 14 people overall. There are 3 Williams and 5 Johns. Did you know that?
Wow, that's
gotta be some kind of record, right?
That's gotta be. That's gotta be. That is a record, I think.
There is an absurd female power gap according to our data. 29% of the board is women, but only have 10% of the influence. That's partly because Bill Ford
has 60%.
Has 61% of board influence. Yeah. Some other information: all 5 named executive officers are men. Of the 31, there's 31 company officers according to Ford's website. Only 6 are women.
Yeah.
And yes, of that 6, 1 is the head of HR, and 1 is also a Ford family member. So really, it's like it's
so
4 women, right?
Yeah.
And then don't ask me how many of Ford's 31 corporate officers are black. Do you want to ask me? You can ask me. It's 1.
Oh, how many are black?
Just 1. In fact,
great.
Even worse, when you pull back, Ford Motor Company lists all 89 people who they deem to be part of leadership. This is in Detroit, Michigan. They have only 5 black leaders, man. 5. And one of them is a board member, so technically not really part of the company, although part of the company's leadership. And the other one, of course, is a chief diversity officer. So there you go.
Oh no! They hit all of it.
Just brazenly, Matt. When you talk about who loses, when he says America loses, it is the Ford family and a bunch of like white dudes. I guess that's the America that he's worried about.
But look, we can be upset, or we can say this is why dual class shares don't really work.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because you can't do anything about it. It's a fake public company. It's not really a public company.
To that point, there was a shareholder proposal this year at Ford's annual meeting, and by an overwhelming majority, anyone not named Ford voted to get rid of dual class shares. Shareholders definitely want to get rid of that at Ford, but there's nothing they can do about it.
And they can't. Yep. Joke's on you.
And then finally, meanwhile, there was a headline in Fortune. Here's the headline, very simple. Big 3 car makers paid their CEOs $1 billion since 2010 and now say they can't afford to pay striking workers. So to your point about stock buybacks, there's another $1 billion to add to that. Yeah.
$3.5 billion just at Ford, not the big 3.
That's big 3.
All of them.
That's big 3 car makers, $1 billion for CEOs.
No, I'm saying Ford's buybacks by themselves in that same time period was $3.5 billion, which means if the others were doing buybacks at the same time, you're talking about like possibly anywhere from $6 to $10 billion in buybacks and $1 billion in pay, and they can't figure out where they could have gotten the money to pay, a living wage and for innovation.
Not to mention what this data misses is that Bill Ford's not even the CEO at Ford. And he made $17 million last year. Over the last 12 or 13 years, that could be another $200 million. So they're just talking about the CEOs. Let's get out of that. I'm feeling.
Yeah, I don't want to. This is
How about
depressing
this?
me.
How about this next one? This one, I don't know what kind of world we live in, but I feel like this next headline kind of blows up this entire lawsuit. But just months after Florida Governor Ron DeSantis stripped Disney of its self-governing status, a neighboring theme park has been granted many of the same benefits, a special district. The Orange County Board of County Commissioners unanimously voted earlier this week to create a special district for the 719 acres encompassing Universal Orlando Resort.
Wow.
The special district will reportedly use $174 million in bonds to fund infrastructure. Matt, ready for this? All of the board seats for the special district will be held by Universal employees. not friends of Ron DeSantis that happening over at Reedy Creek. I mean, it's like this is just like I just cannot believe. It's like this is the opposite world. It's like bizarro world in Florida.
I don't know what's happening. Are they just going to kill this special district next, or oh wait, Orlando? Don't they have a gay day?
Matt, I don't understand. This is while the lawsuit is going on. How does this not completely? Doesn't this say without a shadow of a doubt that Ron DeSantis is going after Disney for political reasons? I mean, how could they make the case otherwise now?
They do seem to have gay days at Universal Studios.
Except that Universal
Florida.
didn't say anything against don't say gay, I suppose. I guess that's the difference.
If that's literally the only difference, then Disney's already slam dunk lawsuit is
crazy.
Slammier and dunkier than it was
slimy,
10 minutes ago.
So slimy. Little bit of comic relief. I wanted to add this story in. Citibank wins lawsuit against fired analyst who expensed his partner's meals to the company and then claimed he ate 2 of everything. I don't know why I like this one, but I want to hear you can play the role of head ethicist. You can be chief ethicist on this one. So the dude goes to Amsterdam. Okay. He is under his $100 daily spending allowance, but he got for lunch. He got 2 sandwiches, 2 pasta dishes, 2 coffees. He had 2 of everything basically at all his meals.
Okay,
but under his daily allowance.
Then I would never fire somebody for that.
But then they asked him, "What's going on? Did you eat 2 sandwiches and have 2 coffees?" And he said yes. But then later it turned out that he was lying, that his partner, he bought lunch for his partner. So
I would also
where do you
never
fall here?
ask. I would never ask. If you give someone $100 a day and say, spend it on food and things that you need, to me, that's $100 a day that you spent on food and something that you needed. And if you were smart enough to bring your partner with you and share 2 meals, I mean, how big could the pasta
2
meal
sandwiches.
be? Like
it's not even 2 lobsters. It's just 2 sandwiches.
He wasn't like snorting coke off of like
it wasn't 17 martinis. Yeah,
he wasn't in like smoking marijuana in a bar. Like it was. He's having a sandwich, and have you seen the sandwiches? It's not like the U.S. sandwiches.
No, in fact, you're right. They're quite tiny in Amsterdam.
$44 sandwiches, and you get like a 7-foot long sandwich. This is like a small meal with a coffee. Come on, get over it.
Here's how sad this really is. Citibank, so they won the lawsuit. It even got to the point where the dude had to admit that he said that there were mitigating factors, including the recent loss of his grandmother, and that he was on strong medication when he replied that
that's all ridiculous.
All right, let's get out of that.
Yeah.
Former FTX CEO SBF Sam Bankman-Fried, as we know, was in court. One of the big lawsuits against the CEO. His lawyers are saying he needs more Adderall to concentrate in court.
Okay, I don't care.
Imagine that the government has a lawsuit. They're prosecuting you. You are right on the verge, right on the edge, Matt, of spending the entire rest of your life in prison, right? And you can't pay attention. You need Adderall. Really?
If he's needed Adderall, if it's like like a physiological demand, it's fine.
I think this is one that you might pay attention to.
I don't care about this. Mostly, what I think is like, will he spend the rest of his life in jail? I think that's actually unlikely. I think he's probably like in and out of a minimum security prison in 5 years. And then he's doing a speaking tour for $100,000, an event
at Adam Newman University.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
finally,
that's like failing up 101.
Finally, in CEO detention news, these are CEOs getting in trouble with their principals. Australia fines X, that's the formerly known as Twitter, for failing to crack down on child abuse content. That's one. Also, Elon Musk's ex illegally fired an employee in retaliation for her internet post challenging its return to office policy. That's according to the U.S. Labor Board. And also, former Starbucks CEO Howard Schultz violated federal labor law by telling a barista in California who questioned the coffee chain's response to union organizing to go work for another company. So, Elon and Howard doing illegal things. That's the.
I don't know that this is just founder fetish bad behavior, isn't it? That's
it's just reporting the news. That's what I got, Matt. That's all.
All right, here's what I got. Here, very simply. This is 5 headlines I hate that I agree with, and 5 headlines that I vehemently disagree with.
So we've become so dumb as an enterprise now that you're just reporting on headlines that you agree with. That's what we've come down to.
It's a Monday. You're going to sit through it.
Wow. Okay.
But I want to know whether or not you agree with my assessment here.
Yes.
Okay, here's the first one. Vivek Ramaswamy says it's, quote, not productive for companies to blacklist Harvard students who make, quote, dumb statements like blaming Israel for the Hamas attacks. Agree or disagree?
Well, look, okay, this is a complicated answer. I agree with Vivek's statement that it's not productive, but I don't agree with anyone reporting anything that he cares about.
Also correct.
I really don't care about his opinion about anything.
It is a Harvard alumnus, which,
True.
Vivek, you're that.
True.
Saying you shouldn't blame Harvard students for dumb statements. It does feel very self-serving from the dude who's basically
he's saving his own ass. Yeah, there you go.
Here's another one. VC billionaire Mark Andreessen on Tesla and SpaceX. They probably would have gone under with anyone besides Elon Musk.
I almost spent an entire segment on this morning because I got down a rabbit hole because this irritated me so much, because it's one of these things that in our modern culture you can kind of just throw out bullshit statements like this. Like it probably would have gone under. It just made me insane. So you're saying you agree that it probably would have. I mean, you mean without his strong personality and capital?
No.
And what?
Without douchebags like Mark Andreessen basically fawning over him and giving him as much money as he wanted. Because what Andreessen
it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What Andreessen meant to say is, I have such a Musk fetish that I can't fund anyone else except for maybe Adam Newman. Like, that's what he meant to say.
Yeah,
I agree. He's right.
Sure. The whole thing is asinine to me. I mean, moving on.
Here's another one. Try this. Fox News host and Trump supporter Sean Hannity suggests GOP presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy is not qualified to be president because he's never held public office.
I definitely love that one. Yeah.
There you go.
But that's just great from a Trump supporter. A wonderful.
It's not so much to me because he's never held public office, because he's unqualified, because he's a rube.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's enough, right?
Exactly. We're talking about Trump now, or we're talking about Vivek?
It doesn't really matter. Here's the next headline. I don't think it's too much. Waffle House workers push for $25 an hour.
There I'll disagree. I've been to a couple of Waffle Houses. It was, and I've been in the middle of the night. 3 a.m.
Right. This is already bad ideas.
Matt, I mean, these people deserve a lot of fucking money.
That's what I'm saying.
These are not safe. These are not safe places. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say,
I don't think it's too much. I think it should be $100 an hour.
Probably.
If you've ever been in a Waffle House,
especially after midnight. Yeah, when the bar is let out. They're dicey situations. Yeah.
Here's a sub-headline. Attorney, Waffle House shooter believed God commanded him. This is like a routine in Waffle Houses. In fact, I've read articles about how come there are so many shootings in Waffle Houses only. They're horrible places.
Yeah, well, because they're in states with no gun laws, and again, they're catering to the post-bar scene where everyone's drunk and walking around with their guns.
Great.
And
just pay the people. All right, here's the last one, and things I hate I agree with. They don't go for jewelry anymore. Olive oil theft on the rise in Greece.
Well, I will say this, as being half Greek, the Greeks don't have a lot of money. They don't own a lot of expensive jewelry. There's none in my family. I'm just saying, and I'll say this: there's nothing better than olive oil. It's probably my favorite thing on the planet.
That's the correct answer.
Yeah,
olive oil is better, period.
Good. It's better than everything, yes.
Here are things I vehemently disagree with.
Uh-oh.
Do you agree or disagree?
Okay.
Here's the first one. Plant-based cheese may be getting more appetizing.
Yeah, I knew you would piss. You would piss on this one. I'm open to alternative meat and cheese world. I know you are against them. I'm open.
I eat Impossible burgers. I'm okay with that. Impossible sausage. I'm okay with that. Plant-based cheese is not getting more appetizing. As someone who's lactose intolerant and doesn't have a lot of cheese choices, I still refuse plant-based cheese.
Maybe you should give it another shot.
Here's one. Netflix is planning houses where fans can get closer to their favorite shows.
What does that mean?
They're opening houses, like themed houses, so fans can go
like a
like
Stranger Things house.
Yeah,
well, you can watch the show in a.
Get out! Get out!
Who am I to laugh? One of my favorite trips over the last 10 years was taking my daughter to the Harry Potter studios in London. I thought it was fantastic, and I don't even really care much about Harry Potter, so. I don't want to be a hypocrite. Maybe it's a good thing.
Yeah, okay, but can we at least at a baseline agree that we spend so much goddamn money on entertainment that we have
crazy.
We have strikes and unionizing pushes because we won't pay employees, but we will pay billions of dollars to build fake worlds so that we will watch it on a TV.
What's missing out of this headline is co-CEO Ted Sarando saying today, I believe, and this guy makes even for CEOs, the dude's rich. I think he makes routinely around $150 million a year. He was saying that the reason why the strike is still going on is because of all things, the actors were asking for a cut of successful shows. They're trying to just share the profits on successful shows, and that's too much for old Teddy boy. So.
Well, here's one that I vehemently disagreed with. Why did the metaverse die? Because Silicon Valley doesn't understand the concept of fun.
I don't know. Why do you disagree with that?
Because it was a hellhole. It had nothing to do with
fun.
What?
I might agree with that one. I think that
no, you're wrong.
The leaders of Silicon Valley, I think all they really know is vapid apps that get you addicted. I don't know if they know fun.
No, of course they don't know fun, but that's not my point. The metaverse didn't die because
it wasn't fun.
They didn't understand fun. It died because it sucked and it was horrible.
All right, moving on.
Dollar General's Boomerang CEO doubled its market cap during his first stint. Can he do it again?
No.
That is correct. The answer is no. You got that one right.
That industry, there are issues in that industry from basically every known stakeholder that in existence, and probably 17 other stakeholder groups that we don't know about yet that haven't even been invented. It is just an industry waiting to blow up. Really,
I mean, it's the worst. It's the dregs of he has routinely had the one of the largest worker CEO pay ratios. Of American companies. It's horrible.
If there's ever an industry where workers need to unionize ASAP, it's this one, because at worst case scenario that if Ronald Reagan's ghost comes back alive, becomes president and fires all the striking workers, it doesn't matter. Get any other job anywhere else.
Well, it's funny you say that because this is a headline from 2021. People are fed up. Dollar General workers pushed to unionize amid hostility from above. Above being that guy, the Boomerang CEO.
Right.
The same guy. And here's my last one.
Yes. Let's cheer for the last one.
Well, you don't cheer. I cheer.
Yeah.
Sobriety is in, and non-alcoholic beer sales are soaring.
I don't know how I feel about this one. Okay.
Here's how I feel. Sobriety is not in. I don't drink, but America is shooting cans of beer because they're woke. It's not that sobriety is in. It's that wokeness, anti-woke is in, and they're just waiting to get totally hammered when they can find something that isn't woke, according to most of America. That's what I think. Not
to start a sad, comedy routine, because I'm not that funny, but non-alcoholic beer? What is that? Is it milk, water? Why would you drink non-alcoholic beer? I don't. What are you doing there anyway? What's wrong with you?
That's a good place to end it. What is wrong with you? That's Damian Rollis. I'm your analyst, Matt Mascardi. We are Free Float. Today's show is sponsored by FreeFloatAnalytics.com. I don't know why we say it every single show and you still don't go and sign up. Just go and sign up. It's free. It takes 9 seconds of your time, and then it's fun all the time to look up your directors and assholes on these boards. We'll be back on Wednesday with a Woke Wednesday, and we got a big interview coming up this week, too. We are interviewing John Lukomnik this week.
I thought he was interviewing you.
Well, we're interviewing him. He's interviewing us. It's going to be the whole thing. But stay tuned for that coming soon. Until then,